Welcome to today's tutorial. These tutorials are aimed at helping people who want to advance their skills in Photoshop. This is really aimed squarely at the beginner trying to skill up. Remember, you can download these start images in the description box which is below this video. Okay, so let's get straight into the video. As always, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to reset our Photoshop by coming up to Photoshop options and clicking Window and then clicking Workspace and then coming down and selecting Reset Essentials. This will make your screen look exactly the same as my screen. Now when you do that, this Learn option appears up here. It's quite annoying, so I'm going to hide it by minimizing it by clicking that slide in video there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click my first layer and hold down Shift and click my last layer, and I'm going to drag all these to the bin so I've got the start image as you have. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and collect this image of the lavender fields by going Command and A to get my marching ants all the way around to the edge, Command and C to copy, and then I'm going to click back into the sunset scene and go Command and V to paste. Now I'm going to come up here and get my move tool, shortcut V, and I'm going to move it around to wherever I think is appropriate. I quite like a bit of the tree up there and I'm happy with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have some calming text appear on the screen. In order to do that, we need to click a new layer here, and I'm going to write in here my text layer. Now on that layer, I'm going to come over and get my text tool here, or shortcut T for text, and then I'm just going to click in here and start typing. Now in order to get a good font, I'm going to drop this down here and I'm going to choose something which is a good looking chunky font like this one here, Copper Standard. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to click under size. Yours will probably be on something smaller like this. I'm going to choose mine to the maximum size you can go is 72, but you can actually type in here, and I'm going to go for 600 and I'm going to press enter, and then I can go ahead and start typing. So I'm just going to double click into the actual words and I'm going to type in calm, enter, down. Or should we have slow down? Let's go for slow down in this busy world. Slow, enter, down. Now I don't need any of my other words, so I'm going to delete those. Slow down. Okay, I'm going to click out of that. I'm happy with that, but I want it to occupy the vast majority of the screen. So in order to do that, I click to make my text layer my active layer, and then I go Command and T to transform, and I can just grab a corner, and I want to basically make this as big as possible to occupy the vast majority of the screen. So I'm quite liking that. That's looking kind of cool there. I'm happy with that. So I need to apply my transform by hitting the tick or pressing enter. Okay, happy with that. Let's move on. The next thing I need to do is I need to make a selection of all these letters. Now the easiest way to do that is come up here and get my magic wand tool, shortcut W, and then I just click my first one, and I need to ensure that the options for the tool is on this option here, which is plussing. And now you can see I have a plus next to my cursor, and I can go through and click and add all my letters. I'm happy with that. Now I don't want to see my text anymore, so I can hide it. Now very importantly, we need to make sure that we come down to our lavender layer, and it's our active layer, and it is light gray. And then I'm going to come down here and initiate a layer mask, and what that does is the layer mask, anywhere that is white, the lavender is visible. Anywhere that is black, it is invisible. So I think that's kind of cool, but we can make it look much better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a layer style. So I'm going to double click into my layer, and this gives me all my layer style options. Now the layer style we're going to use in this occasion is the drop shadow layer style, which normally works very well on anything light like paper and stuff like that. So we're going to choose the drop shadow option, And what we're going to do is this angle, as you can see down here, this is our object, this is the shadow. This is showing us where the shadow would be. Now, because the light is coming from the left, I think we should have the light pointing to the left and the shadow on the right. And we can change the distance. So how far the distance, if I just change this a little bit. So the distance will show you how far the distance is, the shadow is away from the writing. So that looks kind of cool like that. The spread is how wide the writing goes, and the size will soften it off a bit. So I kind of like something a bit like that, I think. And let's have the light coming from a little bit higher. So that's looking kind of cool. I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit OK. Now, at the moment, I do feel it's a little bit too harsh. So what we're going to do is to soften that off a bit. We're going to come to our opacity and reduce the opacity a little bit like this to make it a little bit see-through. And that's looking much better. I'm happy with that. Now, the last thing that we want to do is we want to texturize this image a little bit. And in order to do that, we're going to come over to the shredded paper. Command A to select all, Command C to copy, and then we can come over to our image and Command and V to paste. Now, at the moment, this is a portrait image, so it's too high and not wide enough. So what I'm going to do is Command and T. And now to ensure that it snaps to the exact sides, I'm going to hold down my Shift button and I'm going to roll it all the way around until it's exactly in line. And then I'm just going to line it up so it occupies the whole image. I'm happy with that, and I'm going to press Enter to apply my transform. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to blend through. So I'm going to choose a blend mode. I'm going to come through and choose a blend mode which makes it look artistic. And I'm just going to come through, and if I find anything which takes my liking, I quite like overlay. That looks quite nice. It's a bit harsh at the moment, so we can soften that off by reducing the opacity. That's one option available to us. I kind of like that about there. And the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a layer mask on this by pressing my layer mask button down here. And in my layer mask, I'm going to brush around the center to make some of this paper disappear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my brush tool, or option B. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of the brush by holding down Control and Option. And when I hold down Control and Option and click left and right, my brush gets bigger and smaller. And as I go up and down, my brush gets harder or softer. We don't want a hard brush like this, because when we paint black, my foreground color is black, when we paint black into this white layer mask, it appears like that. We don't want that. So I'm going to Command and Z. I'm going to choose a soft brush like that. And then I'm just going to basically, I'm painting into my layer mask very gently like this. If it's coming through too harshly, you want to, on your brush options, you want to, that's going to increase my brush see-throughness, and this is going to reduce it. So we want to just gently increase the blackness in the middle, and we've got this lovely texture around the edge. So there it is. That's the end of today's tutorial. I hope you found it useful. If you have, please do give it the thumbs up. You can also find other videos like this aimed at the beginner in the playlist which is currently showing on screen. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.